Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am so glad that you're here. If you are new, my name is Barbara and I live in Tennessee in Zone 7B. And if you've been here before, thank you so much for popping back in. Y'all, I don't know if you can tell, but when I tell you it is rainy and dreary outside, it's like 70 degrees, but it feels like I've turned up the thermostat in my house because it just feels cold in here. And I think it's because there's no sun. So on today's video, we're going to do something that one, needs to be done. Number two, I don't want to do it. But three, we're going to get it done. So I'm in my sunroom and we're doing two things today in this video. One, I'm going to be going through the final review of my crop plan because we have a huge planting day coming up in a few days. So I'm going to look at my list and check it twice to make sure all is good. And then the other thing that we're gonna do is that we're gonna actually clean up this room that had all of our seed starting stuff, put everything back together because right now, y'all, that's what it looks like. Now you may be saying, well, that's not too bad. It is bad because I can't use this room. Like if I have company over and all that, but let me show you what the rest of the room looks like. So that's what we're doing on this video. It's a rainy day. I cannot work outside as much as I want to and as much as I actually have the time today to work outside. As soon as I got ready to go outside, it did this. And the voice just said, go do what you're supposed to do, which is clean up that room. So that's what we're doing today. So let me turn the camera around and show you all of what it really looks like in here. But remember, this is the no judgment zone. Okay, guys. You see all those plants right there on the floor. Shelf, not too bad. But here's the table. And then what you can't see behind that blue sprayer is more bins of seeds and stuff. And then also, y'all, I need to water my houseplants because they're almost looking pitiful. Not quite, but we're almost there. So let me tell you why I have these plants all on the floor. So like I mentioned before, we are days away from our huge planting. So if you've been following along, we've been trying to plant the high tunnel, albeit we've had some issues with ants and stuff, but the high tunnel is about 75% planted. But our huge planting day is when we plant our in-ground garden. So if you're new, we have an in-ground garden space that's 4,000 square feet. We have 8 rows that are 100 feet each. So it's quite the space and it takes a long time and a lot to fill up that garden space and to plant out all of our stuff. But we've started seeds. If you've been here along the way, you know that we started over 1,100 plants. We also have had success with our plant sale. Over the last 2 weeks, I surpassed what I made last year, but I'm still like $150 left from my goal. So hopefully I will meet my goal, but I'm sorry, something flying around in here. Hopefully I will meet my goal, but I am proud that I at least surpassed what I did last year. But what I'm doing now is I've had to bring the plants inside because they've been outside all week long. So from a temperature standpoint, it has not been below 60 degrees at night here. So they've been fine to stay outside and get all the hardening that they wanted to have. But it has been raining for the last 5 days. Now we've had bouts where it would rain and then sunshine or sunshine in the morning, then rain at night. And so over the last couple of days, I've been pulling the plants in just because I didn't want them to be waterlogged and get too much water. And then for the last couple of days, we've had very little sun, so they haven't been drying out. So I wanted to pull them inside. So we pulled the last of them inside this morning, right before a thunderstorm. And so those are the ones that's on the floor, and they're too tall to sit on the shelf and go under any lights. They're bumping up against the lights. So they're gonna have to hang out here for the next couple of days until they can be planted in the ground. And then also I have plants on the inside of my house. Those plants we took to the front side of the house. So I have a table back here for all the plants that was in the sunroom. They were on my table. They were on the sidewalk. And then in the front of the house, we had all of the plants that were in the dining room area. And we took them outside. They were all along my ledge, all along my sidewalk in the front. All of those have been brought in as well. But I am now starting to feel like I have less plants because of the plant sale. So before I was selling my plants, y'all know I was out of space. Like all of my shelves were full and I had some on the floor because I didn't have anywhere else to put them. Now, if I could put them on the shelf, I would have a space for every tray. So I am making progress. But what I want to do now is last night I started doing like a quick cursory inventory to see what all I had left and make sure that my crop plan, I don't know what that is. So last night I did a cursory look to see what I had left. And then I also looked at my crop plan to make sure that everything is everything. Meaning, do I know where everything is going and making sure that I haven't oversold anything. Remember, I did inventory twice before I put up my plant sale because I wanted to make sure that I had enough for me and that I didn't oversell something that I needed. And I feel like I oversold one crop unless I just cannot find it in all of this stack. So I feel like I oversold my okra. I don't know how that would have been possible unless I just put the wrong amount on the website. But I only have been able to see 3 okra left, and I should have a total of 8 okra. So I'm missing 5. Either I sold 5 that I wasn't supposed to sell, or they're in this somewhere. But that's not a big deal. I can always direct sow it. So let's first go to the table. Let's talk about the crop plan and our planting day and what we're going to do. And then we're going to look to start cleaning up all of this stuff. So at the end of this video, what I want on my table are only the things that are going to be direct sown. Everything else I want put up and put away. So let's get to it, guys. So let's talk about my crop plan. And so if you're unfamiliar with when I say a crop plan, basically I plan out where all of my crops are going to go before I actually go put them in the ground. And because I have a large space, it is imperative that I do this. Otherwise, it will be very unorganized and things will end up where they're not supposed to be. So it's very important that you plan where your stuff is going to go. So even if you have only 4 raised beds, I still highly recommend a crop plan so that you can plant out what you're going to put to make sure, 1, that you have enough plants, number 2, that you don't have excess and you start feeling the urge to crowd things together. And just the more plantful you are, the more efficient you're going to be and the more abundance you're going to have. I really believe that planning equals efficiency, efficiency equals abundance. I believe that with my whole heart. So I start off with my plans, just kind of like you guys, if you've been here, you've seen this before, just with my handwritten. And then today I'm really focusing on the in-ground space. So like I said, there's 8 rows out there that are 100 feet long. So I've taken my initial plan that I did probably about 6 weeks ago of what I kind of sketched out and where things were going to be and how many and what varieties. And then I've kind of honed it in and typed it up, okay? So I have a group of people coming to help me plant the outside garden. We call it our annual planting party. These people that are coming, they are not gardeners. They are friends that just want to come and help me out. And we just had laugh, cut up, and have a good time. So I will have sheets for all of them so they know exactly where things go. So if I give you a tray of squash and I say, hey, take it to row 4, you can look and see, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be and this is what I'm supposed to plant. And this is how many I'm supposed to plant. So as I'm prepping and getting ready for the huge planting day, it's crucial that I know where things are gonna go and that I have my numbers correctly so that on that day, they can kind of move seamlessly and things don't end up in the wrong place. Because again, I know my garden, I know my layout, I know what's in my head, I know what I've planned for, I know what I've thought about that I didn't write down. But when you have other people coming to help you, I believe it just makes it easier to just be very clear, and that way things are going well, everything's labeled and all that stuff. So a couple of things, we've done this now, I think this will be the 4th year that we've done the planting party. And so a couple of things that I've learned is definitely labeling. And so I want to make up a lot of the labels ahead of time, because what I've normally done when I have a tray of seeds, and let's say there are 4 deep, meaning 4 going vertically. I will put a label on the very first pot, and then everything behind it I know is that. So for example, if I'm doing, let's say 8 tomatoes and 4 are Roma and 4 are beefsteak, then I'm gonna put the Roma label at the head, and then everything behind that I know is Roma. And then on the second row, I'm gonna do beefsteak. This is in the seed tray, that I know everything behind that is beefsteak. Well, what happens is that when we get out to the garden to plant, and they look at their sheet and I need to plant 4 beefsteak, then yes, the 4 beefsteak are there in a row. And so I will ask them to put that label at the beginning of that section, right? So if they get to that row and they do 4 beefsteak, put the beefsteak label at plant number 1. And then plants 2, 3, and 4 do not have a label. But what has happened is somehow that first label may get knocked around. It may be blown away. It may be stepped on. Somehow that label ends up missing, right? And so I go out there and I'm like, what tomato is that? And I don't know, because either the label is gone, or maybe when I say it was in the right section, it's in the tomato row, but it's not where I have, okay, beefsteak, then Roma, then San Marzano, if that makes sense. So I don't know what type of tomato that is until it grows, or sometimes I still don't know what kind of tomato it is. There was a tomato that I grew last year that I'm like, I don't know if this is the sunrise bumblebee or if this is something else, because I had 2 different kinds that were very similar. And when you like something a whole lot, you kind of want to know the variety of what it is. 1, so that you can tell people, and 2, so that you can order it again or save the seed and do it again. So labeling is important. So I'm going to try something new this year and have more labels. And I don't know if I want to do a label. Yeah, I don't know if y'all can hear that. Yeah, let's take a commercial break. I want you to see how this weather is really weathering. Y'all, this weather out here is so crazy. This is a good time if you have a GREENSTALK. I hope that you have the new lid, the one where you can, it has like the little B on top, and you can turn the opening, you can turn the opening closed or leave it open. This is a good time to have one of those lids. I keep all of mine closed. Because I can't imagine with the rain that we've had for the last 5 or 6 days, it would have filled up that thing and then just kept dripping, even when the rain had stopped. Right now, y'all, the pocket is full of water. That's how much it has rained. I just pray and hope, good rain is good for your vegetables. Too much rain, too much anything ain't good. So this is supposed to be the last day of the rain, at least for the next 3 days. The sun is supposed to be out tomorrow, so I'm hoping that it dries everything up. But anyway, back to what we were saying. In terms of the crop plan, make sure that you have one. So on my crop plan, here are a couple of things that I'm doing different that I have not done before. So if you look at this, these are my rows 1 through 8. So we'll start with the very far left, which is we call row number 1. So one of the things that I'm doing different is in row 8 on the very opposite end, I'm actually going to be doing my corn there, and that's going to be new because I've never done corn there before, and the spacing is different, and I'm doing corn a whole different way. I'll be doing an upcoming video on that, so make sure that you watch the video to see how I'm going to do the corn. The next thing that I am adding is I'm going to have a whole row of flowers for a couple of reasons. 1, I love flowers. 2, I got plenty of them. And 3, that'll kind of serve like as a pollinator patch. Now, I always have flowers, in between the rows and things like that, but I've never dedicated a single row to the flowers. And so, in my other life, I want to be a flower farmer and sell flowers, but I don't have the time or the energy to do that. But I thought, if I have a whole row of flowers, then I can just keep on bringing bouquets into my house. And then maybe if I have some excess, I can sell, you know, some bouquets here and there. But I think it'll just be pretty in the garden. That'll be like one of my beautiful spots throughout the garden. But then also it's gonna be, you know, pollinator row. It's gonna bring the pollinators and the bees and all of that to come. So that's gonna be different. And then plus I just had the space, y'all. I really just didn't need that other space. And so I was trying to see, well, what did I do last year with that space? And I think on row number 8, I haven't used that space. I used it last year for onions, but I did not use it for the summer garden. So I'm picking up that row. So that's kind of, I guess, the same thing. But I'm trying to see, and like I keep my plans from year to year. So like this is last year. This is 2024 last year. That's what it looked like. So let me take a look at this. Yeah. What did I do different? Okay, so yeah, I had the corn in between rows, so I needed it for that as well. And yeah, anyway, I didn't need it. I still got plenty of food and plenty of space to grow. The other reason why I chose to put the flowers in that particular row is that particular row, we have a water issue where at the end of the row, the water pools up if it rains a ton, and things don't tend to do very well in that row towards the end. It's been like that for the past 2 years, and we don't know how to fix it. If you have any suggestions about how to fix it, let us know. I don't know why it's like waterlogged in that particular area, but it is, and just, anyway, I don't know how to fix it. That's one of the things that we keep saying we're gonna do in the off season, in the fall and the winter, and then of course we don't get to it. So if you have any tips on that, let me know. But that's another reason why I chose to put the flowers there, because again, flowers, even though I love flowers, when it comes to hierarchy, food comes before flowers. So if something's not gonna be right, I'd rather for it to be a few zinnias versus some tomato plants, okay? So that is new that we're doing. And then what else? Another thing that's new is I'm gonna actually do some cucumbers outside in the in-ground space. I have not done that before, so that's going to be new. And then everything else I think is going to be pretty standard. We did not move our trellises. We have not moved our trellises for the last 2 years since they've been put there. And so I just rotate my crops so that I put the crops that need the trellis in, like my tomatoes and then my purple whole peas, I just swap them year after year, so that way they're in a different place. And you wanna make sure that you're rotating your crops as well. Another thing that we will do, that we've done before, is that on the very last row, row 1, is our watermelon and melon patch. So we'll have watermelons there as well as cantaloupe, and we will interplant with basil and marigolds. Normally we interplant with basil only, but we're gonna do basil and marigolds in that row as well. So that is the plan for the big planting party that's happening in a few days. Now, as I was doing my inventory, I have a lot of tomatoes. I'm gonna have tomatoes left over. Like, I need to sell some tomatoes. And it's so strange because you would always think, you know, tomatoes tend to be the epitome of what people want when they have a summer garden. If they don't know how to grow anything else, they want some tomatoes. But tomatoes have been the least seller on our plant sales. We have sold out of all of our herbs except calendula, I think, is the only herb that I have left. Everything else has been sold out. And the okra, the zucchini, but we have, flowers, marigolds have been going like crazy. But we have quite a bit of tomatoes that are left over. We have some peppers left over, but not nearly as many peppers as we have tomatoes. So that's just, I don't know, that's interesting to me. Last year, I sold a lot of Amish paste tomatoes, and this year I've only sold a handful. Go figure. You just never know. Plus I want to say, did I have any repeat? I had mostly new customers this year. So anyway, we'll just keep trucking along. But that is the plan, getting ready for Sunday. So I need to do more labels. But before I can do anything, y'all, I got to clean up this mess because it's messing with my head. So let's talk about how we're going to get this whipped back in shape. And here's the reason why I'm putting everything up. Because these hands, we're not starting no more seeds until July when it's time for the fall. At least that's the way I'm feeling today. So we've started all of our seeds. The only seeds that I have left to start, and it's the same thing that happened to me last year, and I was like, I'm tired, I don't feel like doing it, is in our third space, which is right behind me in our raised beds. We will plant out there for the summer after we harvest our onions and garlic. So the onions and garlic are out there now. They will be harvested by the end of May, first part of June, and then those beds will be empty. But because I have a long growing season, I can still put some stuff in there. So we will have sweet potatoes back here, and we will also do Roma tomatoes, and we will do peppers is the plan. And I always say, I'm gonna start my own Roma tomatoes. And so if I was gonna start my Roma tomatoes, this would actually, next week would be actually the week I should be starting those. 6 weeks before I'm getting ready to put them out. But I'm gonna be honest, y'all, this is the same. I said last year I was gonna start them and I didn't, because once I get these plants out of my house in the next few days, I don't wanna bring new plants in. And so I'm gonna buy them. That's what I'm gonna do. And if nobody has any, I don't know. This happened to me last year and I said, no, this year I'm gonna do it, this year I'm not gonna do it. I'm not starting no seed. Not starting anymore. And also, like, I'm short like 2 watermelon. I'm not starting no more watermelon seeds. I will buy them. Whatever is left, I'm gonna buy. That's what's gonna happen. So let's get this all cleaned up. Okay, so basically what we have here are all the seeds that we've started. Now, each week as I was coming in, I was putting the seeds back in their cases and kind of putting them up. I did that good for like the first, 3 or 4 weeks. But you know, as the season keeps going on, it gets hectic and all that. It wasn't happening like that. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put all these seeds together by category, and that way we can put them in their cases. So let me get to doing that. And this seems so daunting, but it's not gonna take long, y'all. Let's get to it. Okay, guys, it looks put back together. And y'all, I want to show you this. This is the cleaner that we made together when I did 5 different ways of how I used my bulk citrus, my lemons, and my oranges. If you didn't see that video, I'll pop it up here. In that video, I had a bulk citrus order of oranges and lemons, and we repurposed or used those 2 products 5 different ways. And one of the things that we made was cleaner. So I think on that video, I had them sitting in the vinegar. So I don't think that you actually saw me make it, but basically I took the concentrate with the peels and the vinegar. I let that sit for a minimum of 2 weeks. I discarded the peels, and then I added half a solution of water, half a solution of that vinegar concentrate, and put it in a spray bottle and labeled it. And then for me, I added in lemon and orange essential oil, just because I'm not really fond of the scent of vinegar. And so it mellows it out and just smells really good. So when we use it in the house, it just smells nice, fresh, and clean. So y'all, I think I got, so this is a smaller size bottle. This is, I think, 16 ounces. I have 4 of these, and then I have 2 32-ounce bottles of cleaner. We've already gone through 1, but that should definitely last me until I have more oranges and lemons again. I love the cleaner. It's a nice, non-toxic way to clean your house. So y'all, there's nothing left on the table But the things I'm going to direct sow. So I will be direct sowing my purple whole peas like I do every single year. These are the ones that I buy. They're from Baker Creek. And it looks like I have 3 to 4 packs, which is fine. I usually do about 30 to 35 plants. So I have these out here. I will be direct sowing these, and I will actually soak these the night before in water. You don't have to do that. It just makes them germinate faster. And then I have my green beans that I will be direct sowing. Same thing. I will soak these the night before that I want to direct sow. And then I have my okra, because unless I find my other 5 okra plants, I'm going to need to direct sow about 5. And so I have that out. Well, y'all, that's it. There is nothing else on this table, which means seed starting season is over for the summer. It is over. Whatever else is going to be done, it's going to be bought unless I have a change of heart. So it feels so good to get this room back put together and clean. Y'all, we started out here in January, 4 months ago. And now 4 months later, just like that, y'all, we've started all the seeds. We started planting them out. And in the next week or so, my garden will be planted. It will be planted for the summer, at least 90% of it. So I'm excited about that. So y'all, I encourage, the other thing, can't forget about this. I'm not gonna be able to do it on this video because it's raining, but the other thing that I was gonna show on this video to kind of help wrap all of this up is wash my pots. All of the seed starting pots and all that. So that'll have to be at a different time just because it's so soaking raining outside. I was gonna actually just spray them with the hose pipe outside and call it done. I usually will do that like maybe every other time. Now, I do bring them in the house and I do wash them with soapy water and all of that good stuff. But when I have just used them and they haven't been sitting for a while, then I will usually just spray them off with a heavy stream of the hose pipe and clean them that way, let them air dry, and then just go ahead and stack them away. But that'll have to be different. So I encourage you guys, as you're starting your summer garden, get your stuff planted. That is priority. But in that space between when you've planted your garden and you have your first harvest, clean up, y'all. Get your seed starting room put back together. Get your supplies all clean. So that way, when it's time to start for the fall, we are starting with a clean slate. We don't have stuff everywhere and we can bring it back out again and you don't have to see it or look at it. So if you have time this weekend, put that on your to-do list this weekend, especially if you got weather like this and you can't plant. If you can plant, get outside and plant your stuff. But I hope that you guys are doing well. I hope that your gardens are going well. I wish everybody a very successful, happy gardening season. If you have not subscribed, I would love for you to subscribe to my channel so that you can see our entire journey all throughout the summer gardening season and all the stuff that we're going to be doing. I cannot wait to see you in the next video. Remember, gardening is a journey. Let's grow together. I'll see you next time, friend.